Hey again guys, it's Chris, and in this video tutorial I will be going over a game replay analysis of my most recent match played. And this isn't really by far an impressive or non-impressive game. It's really just a subjective game that I took so that I could find some points in the game and then talk about that into further detail, and you would be able to see that in action as I did it. And then I'll go back and forth between some things. And since I'm not really dubbing over with another commentary, I'm probably going to have a lot of uhs and stuff, so bear with me. And also, I'm sorry about the quality. My computer is really lacking on hard drive space right now, and videos take up a lot of memory, so I had to reduce the quality pretty bad, so it's really poor right now. But anyways, enough about that, and let's start. So in this, I'm just doing the standard creep block going from left to right, and I'm not doing too good of job at it. In fact, I actually do end up messing up right here, but that's alright. And I'm going to pause right there. Another one of the players in my forum, or not my forum, my thread, commented that I should really go and talk about how letting one creep through is usually a great strat because all the other creeps will focus that creep. So essentially what that means is that this imp here will be focused by the Legion creep wave, which means he's going to die first. That means that my side will be putting out less damage per second. Therefore, my lane will be pushed back. Since I did mess up my creep wave, I didn't immediately stop when I messed up. Rather, I started to block these three creeps right here so that this creep right here would be focused. So I'll go back and then I will show you that so you can actually look at it this time. So I messed up and then I continue the creep block right there. The next thing I'm going to talk about is harassing. Right here I'm doing some pretty hard harassing, and a lot of people are pretty good with this and they understand the general concept. However, a trick with harassing, and this is very important, is that you really want to move right after you attack your enemy, because when you attack your enemy, all nearby surrounding creeps on his side will immediately target you as their first target for a couple seconds. So in that time, you will be taking a lot of damage if you stand still and you attack him. So when you harass, you always want to attack and then move. So I'm going to show that again, and you'll see that when I attack him, I constantly move to reduce the amount of damage that I would take rather than if I had stood still. So I'm going to show it right here, and I'll put it in half speed so you can really see it. So I attack, I move. Again, I attack, I move. And notice how the creeps stop focusing me and then they start focusing me again, and I continuously move so that I would not take as much damage. And I know it's against a Magnus and I'm Bubbles. It's not really a fair lane. But again, it's not to impress anyone or anything. It's not, I don't think it's an impressive game. I just want to be able to show some points. And this just happened to be the fastest replay. So here I'm going to be doing something called early denying. Early denying is whenever your creeps are exactly below half HP, you can start denying them. And instead of denying the creep instead of denying the creep as like a last hit to get the denied, you start denying it and you get a few attacks in. The reason you do this is because it pushes your lane backwards, since again when you kill your creeps put out less damage on your side, so that the other enemy will put out more damage, and in turn they'll kill your creeps faster. With early denying, your lane will actually be pushed backwards if you are on top of it, and that is generally what you want to be doing when you get free farm, because when you free farm, the enemy is probably ganking in another lane. Usually you're like a side lane for this, by the way. And usually they'll be ganking another lane. And when you're early denying, you're going to really keep the creep wave in one spot or actually move it closer to your tower. However, be aware that if you continuously early deny too much, your creeps will be pushed back to your tower, and in turn that tower will actually push your creep wave further away from it, because the tower is doing the damage now, and you have that extra tower damage, which isn't really going to help you out a lot in the long run. So what what a trick is to do is you want to constantly early deny until you get about right here, basically one creep wave in front of your tower. From there, you kind of want to just farm normally and maybe even auto attack a little bit, so that you want to avoid having this tower, or any tower for that matter, attack your creep wave. You'll be able to avoid having your lane pushed, and really you'll keep your lane generally in one spot. This is a pretty helpful technique when it comes to free farming, but really you won't be using this technique too much to keep a lane standstill when an enemy is in it. However, you can still early deny so that you can try and reduce the amount of distance that your lane is pushed. So now that we talked about early denying, I'm just going to be continuing this video. And right there is a point that I really want to make. And that point is that rather than go for the deny on my imp, I decided to go for the last hit. The reason you always go for a last hit over a deny is because you can't always get that last hit money back, while denying you can't really either, but it's not as important. Getting creep score, mainly creep kills, is the most important thing, not most important, but one of the most important things in this game. And just because you deny your enemy of EXP, you really don't want to deny yourself of losing that gold, because not only will you not be winning that lane, but you'll be starving yourself of farm. So while he might not be getting level 6 as early as you, you're not getting that steam boots as fast as you should have, or that portal key, or whatever your core item should be. So I'll go back and I'll show you right here. You'll see that I choose to go for the sapling first, so that I can get the creep kill, and then I might go for the creep deny in here if I'm fast enough. And it looks like I will be able to, so it's a double whammy, and I am able to. I then noticed that yellow is starting to push up a little far, so when it comes to having a melee versus ranged, or whenever you have the advantage in a lane, even if it's range versus range, you always want to play very upfront and forward. And what that means is that rather than standing at maximum range, which would be somewhere over here, and attacking, I'm standing very close to the creep wave. What that does is it makes him feel less safe, and it forces him to be pushed back a lot further. So rather than him standing here because he won't get harassed, he has to stand back here because he will get harassed if he would stood here. Again, when it comes to overextending a little bit and trying to show dominance in a lane, whenever you're past your creep wave and you're behind his creep wave, so this is his creep wave right here, if I was somewhere behind it, that would be me overextending. Now, overextending doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing, but generally it is. But with this, just be aware that you are overextending. So in this, if you do attack him, all the creeps will go to you. Again, you want to do the attack method and then the move method to avoid the least amount of damage possible. And then when you notice that your creep wave is starting to die, you can back up a little, wait for your other creep wave to come up, and then you can just go back to playing very aggressive and overextending. So we'll just continue this here. And as you can see, I am now playing the aggressive role, overextending, so that I can avoid him getting any EXP and gold. Since I see that his creep wave is coming and I know my creep wave is coming, I then back up, and then I assume again, not necessarily a such aggressive position, but I do stay very far forward. Back up, let the creep wave aggro each other, and then I will again start taking a more aggressive role, and I will probably start harassing him here. I'm just guessing, by the way. So right here, I again take the aggressive role, and I attack him, and I back up. And notice how much damage I took, and that's just because of the auto attacks of the creep wave. So that's why you always want to make sure that when you attack, you move back and forth, so that you avoid taking less damage. So let's continue. When it comes to eating tangos, even though I'm at a very high point in my HP, what it does is it really allows me to be topped off, so to speak, in HP. And what that does is not only does it create a sense of, I guess, safety, but it also creates the enemy with a sense of danger. And that means that even though he wouldn't be able to kill me if I was at half HP and I didn't eat a creep, and didn't eat Runes of the Blight, he would feel much safer because he might feel like maybe he could nuke me or something if I get out of position. However, if I keep myself up at a maximum HP, even though being at the HP I'm at, he wouldn't be able to kill me regardless, even if I didn't eat a Runes of the Blight. What it does is it makes him feel really, really unsafe. And that's kind of like a mind thing, and when it comes to Han is a lot of mind games, and it's more than a lot of people think. So in this would be a mind game where I am just keeping my HP up so that he feels less and less safe. So we'll continue, and again, be on top of the denies. I did not get that one because I missed up, and that one too. And I missed that one as well. So I do get that last hit because I should be getting them. And there's another creep kill. Again, always be on top of creep kills. I'm doing very poorly in this game. Don't follow me, by the way. And as you can see here, my tower is starting to attack, which you'll notice later in this lane when we continue. My lane gets actually pushed forward because of my tower attacking. And you can just look for that and you'll be able to see it. So again, don't miss last hits like me. And when it comes to using my Shell Surf, I decided to use Shell Surf because it's now level 2. Generally, when you have a move that you can use to farm and to harass, it's good to use those moves early because you want to establish lane dominance. And with that lane dominance, he's going to have to start playing very far back, and he's going to have to use his health potion and his Runes of the Blight very early. So if he had these items maybe at level 3, he would feel a lot safer against stunning me and then just getting back, attacking me, getting back, using his health potion, and then healing up. Whereas right now, I can deny him of ever feeling that safe, and I can hit him early before he has that advantage, and I'm able to make him use his Runes of the Blight while he's at level 1. You'll also notice that he picked up Volcanic Touch, which is interesting. Magnus middle isn't ideal anyways, and I've seen a video where a guy gets it, but it doesn't really work too well, especially because I am harassing him very hard. And also, when it comes to using any move where you can harass and farm at the same time, it's generally the best to use it when there's 2 creeps that you can kill and then harass, but using it on 1 creep is alright, and in this case I did use it on 1 creep, which I will go back so that you can see that again. And I hit level 3 right there, so now I have level 2 Shell Surf, and now I'm going to use it to kill the sapling and then harass him. And you'll notice that he's also at level 1 while I am at level 3, and we'll just go to stats here, and my stats are currently at 6 creep kills, and he is currently at 0-0, and I also have 4 denies, and I'm 4 minutes into the game, so right now I'm doing very terrible. But the important thing is that I've also already established lane dominance, so even though I am doing terrible, I don't have to worry about him actually controlling the lane, and I can feel free to farm the lane and pick up my creep score later. So I do the harass right there, and then I also decide to actually go in on that because since I know he is at such a low HP, he won't be able to do anything but run. I also know that he just hit level 2 from that last creep kill, so he probably doesn't have his stun yet or steam bath, and it doesn't really matter which one he gets since I know that he'll have to press one or the other when he's choosing it, and he might not be as quick. So I'm kind of taking advantage of that. Again, that's another mind game. I don't know if he had his stun or not in this case, so he could have stunned and he could have not had his stun at level 2. But I decided to do this because if he had his stun, then he might not have steam bath, or if he had his steam bath, he might not have his stun. And I could easily prepare while he had to kind of panic and then pick his ability really quick, and he might not be prepared. And then I just get in some extra harass here, and I might even get a kill. So I decided, why not? And yeah, the Shell Surf isn't in optimal position where I am because I'm not blocking him, but I decided to go for it anyways. So I attack here, and right here, you'll notice that right after I auto-attack, I move. And this is a kind of technique that you want to really start mastering. What this allows you to do is it allows you to cover the distance between you and the person you're focusing on, and it allows you to get in the maximum amount of auto attacks you can because you'll be able to move with them and attack and move with them, rather than just attacking and then having to run a long distance and then attacking and having to run a long distance. It just allows you to easily get in a couple more auto attacks, and this really starts mattering in early game phase when every auto attack really matters and most people get away with like 10 HP or one hit away, and